real business owners.
Okay, guys, welcome back to the Real Business Owners Podcast. This is episode 17. Per usual, I have my business partner, Kel, with me, and it's Trevor here. We've got a special guest for you today. Guys, we are lucky to consider this man a friend, a business associate, and we've known him for many, many years. He continues to level up year after year after year, so we're excited to have him on. Jeff, welcome.
Thanks, guys. I'm really excited to be here.
Yeah, we're
episode 17.
17.
Congrats,
we're getting there.
Yeah,
one by one.
One a week, man. So, you know,
I'm 17 weeks in.
I'm hearing Kip Winger in my head going, she's only 17. You guys are really growing up.
Oh, yeah. We're getting there. We're almost 18.
Oh, yeah.
We're almost legal, you know. So, Jeff, if you will, tell us a little bit just to start kind of about your upbringing.
My upbringing?
Yeah.
Thanks. I feel like there's a credit being given that I'm even a grown-up in that question, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, you're past the kid phase.
Right.
How was your childhood?
So I grew up I was really, really blessed, honestly. I grew up with a great set of parents that I think did a pretty good demonstration of a hybrid of, you know, I talk a lot about this philosophically, but personal and professional excellence. My parents were both really successful, but they weren't. Can I cuss on this?
Yeah.
They weren't like dicks.
Yeah.
They weren't like hyper type A alpha people. They were really warm, loving people that also just happened to kick ass in their careers.
Cool.
And that was the model for me growing up. Plus, I was an only child. So I was very affected by my parents because they were like my primary focal point of family for my whole childhood. And so I just grew up watching my parents and going, okay, if you... like the law of the farm principles, like the Stephen Covey principles, all the stuff we talk about that gets a lot of lip service.
Yeah.
Like I grew up around people that embodied those things and had a great case study that it actually works.
Yeah. So in terms of like entrepreneurship, you were bit by that bug pretty early?
Well, it's not actually. So my mom was an attorney and my dad was a money manager.
Okay.
Or he was an institutional stockbroker and I don't think I really processed it in entrepreneurial terms. Entrepreneurship was more almost a reaction for me to just recognizing that I was psychologically unemployable. I was just never going to operate in anybody else's box. And it's like, if you're going to do that, well, I mean, before I was an entrepreneur, I was a jazz musician. That was my my
I saw
act
you
of
playing
rebellion.
the piano, dude. You're good at it.
Yeah, very good.
I hope so. I spent 10 years living off of it.
Really?
But so that was always. But even music, I didn't get into music because I had this deep soul song I needed to share. It was because crap. If I don't find some way to pay the bills, I'm gonna have to get a job someday.
So what were you? You were in a band, or was it just a solo thing? Or what was it?
So I studied. I actually dropped out of high school. I had a tough time. I had a great home life and a really crappy school life. Dropped out of high school and realized okay, I'm starting to get to the age where there's consequences and choices matter and life is unraveling here, and I can't just live off my parents. They wouldn't let me, and I wouldn't let me. So let me learn music because I know that in Houston there's a scene, and I love music. I knew that I had an aptitude for it. I used to play guitar and stuff, and I just knew that eventually it'd be a way to go to school and work my way into some jobs that I always knew that whatever I was going to do to support myself, I needed to be able to do it in a relatively small amount of time. So musicians, they don't get rich. I mean, most working musicians, but you're able to support yourself. I mean, if you look at, let's say you play even 5 or 6 gigs a week, you're actually only working 20 hours a week. That was the key for me. And I recognized music as a strategy to be able to get a relatively high value on my, high dollar value on my time to get paid and do something that didn't make me miserable.
Did you feel any pressure going to school, having parents that were kind of high powered like that? Did they pressure you to go to college?
No,
and do
it's actually one of the greatest things I can say about my parents is that they were super successful and also really non-pressuring about me needing to follow in any footstep, especially as the only child. They could have been you're the scion of the Lerner family. You have to carry the mantle. They never did any of that crap. They supported me when I dropped out of school because they knew I was unhappy.
Yeah.
They bought me a piano to learn on. They were really cool that way. But I went to a private school, really competitive prep school. I think there were 4 perfect SAT scores in my graduating class, and 30% of the class went to Ivy League schools. So I grew up around a set of expectations. It wasn't really coming from my parents, and I think that's one of the reasons I realized I I don't want to do this. I'll work as hard. I mean, I'll dig ditches. I'll work as hard as I need to, but it's not going to be for someone else.
Yeah.
So I've noticed that actually over the years I've known you is like, dude, Jeff will disappear and he'll just go to work. The grind, and he will just perfect what he's trying to launch before, you even come up for air, it seems like, you know what I mean?
I'm a really bad friend during that time, too. Like, Jeff never calls me back.
Is Jeff still alive? What's he been up to? No, he pops back up for air, and then you see him a little bit, and he's just leveling up every time you see him.
I recognize that with you. Even when we shared that building, we were in the same building there for, was it a couple years?
Yeah, the old Social Security building.
That was nasty.
He's a true grinder, I feel like.
So with that being said, when did you get bit by the entrepreneur type bug, and when did you determine that was going to be your destiny?
Well, destiny is a heavy word. I think again, I knew that it was going to be a strategy, or that I wanted it to be a strategy, all through my 20s, because I did grow up in an affluent family. Like, I hate being poor. I'm super comfortable coming out and saying that as part of my brand and my platform. Like, being poor sucks. And I didn't want it. And being a jazz musician and not liking being poor are not super compatible positions, sadly. So all the time I was a working jazz musician, I was like always starting businesses. I was like chasing money like you do when you're young and hustling. Like I tried originating mortgage loans when there was a boom there. I tried flipping, I read Rich Dad Poor Dad and tried flipping houses on credit cards. I still own a few rental properties I was able to acquire when I was a 24-year-old jazz musician. What did I do? I tried investing in a restaurant. Ultimately, I ended up taking a decade's worth of tip jar money and plunking it down as a down payment on an SBA-backed franchise loan. 2007, really, really great time to put all your money into a business.
All eggs in one basket.
2008, and so I would say when it shifted from strategy to destiny, I was an unsuccessful entrepreneur when it was a part-time strategy. And in 2008, I defaulted on these SBA loans. So I'm 28 years old, jazz musician. That's my trade. That's what my degree is in. And I find myself. I did the math the other day. My actual liabilities were $502,000, and I had $13,000 in cash to my name. Wow. So my net worth was whatever that is, negative $489,000. And I'm a 28-year-old jazz piano player who's lost his apartment, whose wife is basically in the process of leaving him. I've got evicted. I'm nearly homeless. And I ended up living in my soon-to-be ex-wife's parents' spare bedroom, basically out of pity. And I did what you guys described. I just locked myself in the spare room. I didn't want to come out. I was like embarrassed. They were, you ruined our daughter's life, kind of a vibe in the air. They were nice at first. They didn't say it, but and I got online, and I discovered this world of internet-based entrepreneurship. And this was 2008. So internet-based entrepreneurship, there hadn't really been like this convergence yet, where all business is heavily dependent on
social media,
technology, and social from a marketing and an operational standpoint. It was before that. Like Facebook in 2008, Facebook was a thing that only college kids did. In fact, I think you actually still had to have a college email address to register for Facebook at that time. And so, but I discovered this world that what at the time felt like almost kind of a fringe thing. Now, internet marketing or digital marketing sounds very mainstream. At the time, it was this kind of weird little place where, like, holy crap, I can make all this money and reboot my life and sit at a keyboard like I'm used to. It's just a different keyboard. And locked myself in a room for about 18 months and paid off almost $500,000 in debt.
Wow.
With affiliate marketing.
That's
with
insane.
affiliate? You were doing affiliate
mostly
marketing?
Affiliate marketing.
Wow, very cool, man.
One thing that we talk about quite a bit is failure, right? Everybody likes to kind of highlight their successes, and a lot of people want to emulate the end result, right? You see these guys that are starting businesses, and within 2 years or 3 years, they're expecting the level of success that they see on social media or whatever it is. That's what they think success is, or they're just trying to rush to the end result rather than kind of going through the process. And I think that failure is just as much a part of the process of success as money is, right? Because you kind of have to go through those trial and error processes in order to get your education, so to speak, in the business world or entrepreneurship type world. If you will, tell us a little bit about some of the failures that you had that you learned maybe a lot from, that gave you the information that you needed, that you took, adapted, adjusted, and then made something work out of it?
Yeah, for sure. I love the question. I hope you have. This is an 8-hour podcast, right?
Yeah, it could. We did a podcast on failures, and I think we covered like 5 or 6 businesses that failed. And we still had more in the tank.
I'm sure.
You know,
Yeah.
I think it was still it was an hour long. We're just like, we could cover another 4 or 5 if we really wanted to. But, you know, there was that one that you talked about when we met last time you were here. I don't even remember what it was. But, I mean, you had a lot of kind of cool stuff that was going on almost before
its time.
it was mainstream, right? Like you were talking about the pizza or what was it?
Text message,
or the text message.
Yeah, that's a great example. I mean, I truly do. The thing that I've, in hindsight that I've done right is I failed a lot. I failed pretty fast. I bounced pretty fast. I didn't spend a lot of time wallowing in my failures. Yeah. I've always had a little bit of like a kamikaze vibe of just like, okay,
on to the next one.
On to the next one. Yeah. I mean, that's because at the end of the day, we work to the level of our dissatisfaction. Like, and I don't know if I'm saying that exactly what I mean, but we'll outwork what we're most afraid of.
Right.
And for me, what I was most afraid of was ever having to go work for somebody else and trade all my time for their damn money and not get the profit for that. Like that I don't know if that's just my personality or what. That terrified me so badly that it's like I don't have time to feel bad. Because feeling bad for too long will end up hitting the point where I need to get a job.
Gotcha.
So feeling bad, I get that over with really fast and I move on to the next dream to chase, basically. Yeah. And I think as I meet more entrepreneurs and you meet successful people, you find that's actually pretty common. Like we have to be a little bit insane to do what we do. The normal life has to be so distasteful to us that we'll make sacrifices most people won't make.
Well, at that point, I mean, you're basically ignoring what statistics tell you, right? Like statistics tell you the majority of businesses fail, right? And so you've got to be delusional enough to think that you're going to fall in that, 20% category and actually make something work.
Right.
And so, the idea of working for somebody else, if that is such a high level of fear, then you don't care about what the statistics are. You're just focused on what you're trying to do for yourself rather than what everybody else tells you. Because a lot of people will tell you, starting business is crazy or what you're doing. They just don't understand because we are kind of the, outliers of society, right? So with that said, I mean, you went from failure to failure to failure. When did you start seeing some success? Like was it the affiliate marketing thing?
And I realized I didn't totally answer your question, but basically yes. I would answer your question with a general statement that my 20s were a repetition of just the failure learning cycle. Fail, learn, rebuild, fail again, learn more, rebuild, and it's just a failure staircase until eventually you get to the step where there's some success. But for me, affiliate marketing and just it was all about leverage. I felt like all through my 20s, and I got to think a lot of entrepreneurs feel like this, that like you're just running yourself ragged.
Yeah.
You're just constantly tired. There's never enough time, hours in the day. There's never enough month at the end of the money. Like it's just hard. And when I finally got on the internet, and again, because it was 2008, it was early for this. But I literally think part of it is physiological. I had connected happiness to sitting at a keyboard because music was when I was happy.
Yeah.
So when I found myself sitting I worked on affiliate. People say, "Oh, Jeff was a quick success story at affiliate marketing." I worked for 14 hours a day for 18 months to make $500,000. Do the math on that.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what that nets out to, $40 or $50 an hour or something. Like I put in, they talk about thousands of hours, 10,000 hours. Like I just rushed to my 10,000 hours with digital marketing faster than most people do.
Right.
And that was part of that was circumstantial. Part of that was literally the only alternative was to just be depressed and sit there.
Yeah.
Just within affiliate marketing, you're probably quite a bit of failures and learning curves.
Oh my gosh!
To get to where it finally started paying dividends.
And here's the thing. Here's what I'll say as sort of what a general wisdom gleaned or whatever is the threshold between failure and success always happens at the margin. Like you're always out on a limb when you turn the corner.
Oh, yeah.
So I think about when I got into affiliate marketing. I'll tell you this story as like a brief representative anecdote. So I mentioned when I got into this, I had $13,000 in cash, negative $502,000 liability and $13,000 cash asset in a brown paper bag in my closet. Because I couldn't go put it in a bank because I had just defaulted on bank loans at the bank and they would have seized the money. And I couldn't open a checking account at another bank because I was upside down in my checking account and that flags you across the banking system, right? Like I was literally living like a drug dealer out of a closet, out of a paper bag with cash. So when I found this affiliate marketing training program online, it was $10,000.
Oh, wow.
So I had to figure out how to convert $10,000 of my cash into some sort of paper instrument to send to a guy in California I'd never met. All I'd seen was a video of him and his wife and his dog saying, I've got a training system, I can help you.
Right.
So now I'm down to $3,000. So then I had to take that $3,000 and go convert it into some kind of a prepaid credit card that I could use to run Google ads. So I didn't get my first big, I think it was a $4,500 affiliate commission check until I was almost out of money on those Google ads. So the thing is, failure or success, that success for me existed at a margin that most people would never go to.
No, absolutely. I guarantee
they would have bailed at like $500 an ad. They just wouldn't have been in that position.
They wouldn't even have started.
Yeah.
If you ask me, I mean, to take $10,000 out of $13,000 and jump in like that, I just don't see a lot of people doing that because here's the problem that a lot of people, mentally that they face is they have a scarcity mindset. They think, that they're using that 13 grand as a safety net, but there's nothing safe.
There's no safety. Yeah.
There's nothing safe about 13 grand. That can
especially
be gone
when the U.S.
quick.
Treasury is calling your house, going, you owe the government $400,000.
Yeah, exactly. So, you have to utilize what you have available to you to try to make something work, and usually you'll basically run out of whatever you're utilizing to make something work right before something does end up, showing its full value.
When people really are committed, right, to doing it, and they're almost crazy committed, like we've talked about, like. You become pretty resourceful, though.
You do.
You figure it out.
And that's the thing. Like literally last night, I knew I was doing this podcast. I was like, I should get a good night's sleep, but whatever. It was midnight. I was up responding to Facebook comments in my group for my business, Entre. And there was a guy in the group who was asking, like, hey, has anybody made any money with this? Like, with this. Like, this is like training. It's education. That's like going to a college and saying, hey, has anybody made any money with getting educated? Well, I mean, there's a variety of outcomes.
Yeah, some have, some haven't, just depending on what you do with it.
And so, partly because it was late and I was just, you get cranky when you're tired. It just triggered me. And I got on it and I was respectful, but I was like, listen, man, if you're trying to look for an average result, I'll tell you right now, the average result sucks.
Yeah.
The average result sucks at everything. The average employee never gets promoted. The average entrepreneur shuts his business down. The average whatever is there's a, I mean, they're described in the term average. Average sucks. So you don't need to compare yourself. It's all about what do you compare yourself to. You go to any meeting, you go to an insurance seminar, you go to a real estate seminar, you go to a mortgage seminar, go to an MLM meeting. There's two kinds of people at that meeting. There's people, the majority, that are walking around asking everybody else if they made any money yet, asking everybody else, what to expect. And then there's a few people who don't compare themselves to other people, know what they're capable of, and they just get the shit done and they make the money.
They just tell me what's possible.
You just have to decide which of those two people you want to be.
The thing about the people walking around asking who's made money, they're looking for the easy stuff. They're looking for easy. Like, is this easy enough for me where I can put my money
Which imagine saying that. Is this easy enough for me? What does that say about you?
That you're just not willing to do what it takes.
Is she ugly enough for me to date?
Like, why would you say that?
Right? That's crazy.
It's ugly enough for you to date, but not me.
Not this
Go
guy.
for it, bro.
It's just crazy talk.
That's funny.
What I love about like everything that all of us have gone through, our failures, this, and they're coming out on top, and then failing again and coming out on top, is it creates like this love for other entrepreneurs that are just getting started. And that's what I love about like real business owners. That's what I love about Entre Institute, the business you own, is like you're building a community to help business owners, help entrepreneurs, people that want to go down this same crazy journey, right? That has great rewards, but also does have a lot of hiccups and failures along the way. And so, tell a little bit more about Entre Institute, man.
Yeah, it's interesting. Actually, Entre's gone through an evolution. This is a timely. I'm glad to be on this podcast at this exact moment with the title of Real Business Owners, because I'm just going to talk real about how it is. Like, I'm not I'm not a perfected specimen, neither is my business. You know, we've been going through changes and transition, and you know, because I have this, you know, my blessing has in a way become my curse. I have this story of like rapid ascendance via digital marketing, right? So now people that follow me, people that track me, people that want to learn from me, it's like you said, they want the result.
Yeah.
They go, I want to make $500,000 in 6 months.
Yeah.
And I go, I mean, okay, I like making $500,000 in 6 months too,
that.
but I promise you don't want the circumstances that I was in that forced that behavior.
Exactly.
So let's talk. Forget about my life. Let's talk about your life and because my journey has this arc. What I found is I was attracting a lot of people that really related to my situation, which my situation wasn't really a great customer avatar situation. I was like broke and I had like no credit. And I mean, gratefully I had some cash in a paper bag, but like, I don't want to build a business where my customer avatar is broke musicians with cash in a paper bag.
Yeah.
So I had to change the message. And ultimately what Entre has grown or I believe is growing into is a community that's really dedicated to entrepreneurial principles. And it's not, oh, I want to make money online. Like, if you want to make money online, then first go get your head checked. Make sure that you're as crazy as we are.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
then come apply and maybe you'll have a shot. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
But what Entre Institute is about teaching people how to take a more improvisatory, value-based, driven approach to life in general. We teach around 3 P's of excellence: physical, personal, and professional excellence. Like, I'm not trying to make better entrepreneurs. I'm trying to make better humans through entrepreneurship. Yeah. And what I found is as the messaging changes, I'm attracting different people. I'm attracting people who maybe they might make $200,000 a year at their job and they don't want to quit their job. They love their job. They work from home. They own a CPA firm or something, whatever. But they see the value in taking a more entrepreneurial mindset. I think there's a distinction between entrepreneurship and an entrepreneurial approach to life. And I think everybody benefits by taking a more entrepreneurial approach to life. And that's really what we stand for.
Yeah, that's and we've said it before. As you start seeing some success in business, sometimes you'll hit plateaus. Right? And all you're really doing is focusing on your business. What can you do to make your business better? When the reality is you need to look internally. If you become a better you're going to see something different that you didn't see within your business that will change your business and help you get through those plateaus.
So true.
You know, and so self-improvement is just as much of a part of success in business as the money that comes in business, because if you're the same the entire time that you're operating your business, you'll notice that you're going to hit a mark and you just can't break past that. That's just because all your focus is your business and your company. You need to start turning and looking at yourself in the mirror and saying, what can I do to be a better me? And then it carries over into your business. Your employees see that, your family sees that, and then your whole life starts to evolve, and everything just by default gets better when you focus and take the time to give yourself some attention, right? So to say what you just said is exactly what, I mean, we've been talking about this even on some of our podcasts, and it's my stamp of approval for sure. I mean, that's 100% accurate, and that's a perfect segue into mentorship, right? Me and Keller are part of a couple different, entrepreneur type groups, and we pay a lot of money for it, right? And some people just, there's another person on the internet that wants to sell you coaching or this or that. It's just like, dude, you don't even know. Like, you're not even to that level. You're just an individual out there that thinks that self-improvement isn't a real thing yet. Hopefully one day you find that. So in terms of mentorship, how much do you believe in seeking out coaching and mentorship just as an individual? And how much is that, if you've done it, how much has that affected you personally and business-wise?
Yeah, I mean, mentorship, coaching, I can tell you in the last 12 months, I've spent 6 figures on coaching. personally.
Yeah.
That's personal. That's not even part of like group affiliations.
Right. We'll spend roughly $200,000 over a 12-month period.
I believe it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and it's something that pays dividends in so many ways you can't predict or anticipate because the whole point is another perspective.
Exactly.
People try to forecast all the ways in which coaching or mentorship is going to change their life, looking at their world through their own eyes. There's no way you can forecast it because the whole point is it's a different perspective, right?
Exactly.
So I'm a huge believer in it. Frankly, it's a big part of what we do at Entre, and typically it's embedded in most of our higher level product offerings. I believe in the power of coaching and mentorship, and I believe in the power of live events. I believe that those are the two things that most people are one thing away from the result that they want. They think a lot of people think it's about knowledge acquisition, and they'll watch YouTube videos till their eyes bleed.
Yeah.
Usually everything you needed to know was in one video. And then just the grind. And here's the biggest myth about success. People think success is sexy. People want the result because they see how it shows up on social media.
Yeah.
Okay, I guarantee you, pick any really successful person. And in fact, I talked about this on a training the other day. Pick Oprah Winfrey, pick Elon Musk, pick Tim Cook, pick Ty Lopez, pick Grant Cardone. I don't care what you see on their social media, their lives are boring. They grind. Yeah. Tim Cook gets up at 3:45. Oprah wakes up at 6. Jeff Bezos wakes up at 5. Like, The Rock wakes up at 4. Mark Wahlberg wakes up at 3:45. Yeah. Their lives are boring. They're not up partying at midnight. They're in bed.
Yeah.
And people want the sexy outcome. The sexy outcome isn't that sexy.
Yeah. You have to do non-sexy things if you want
obsessively.
Yeah.
Obsessively. I texted some, you guys will laugh because we're friends. I actually texted some people the other day. Jacqueline and I were on a thread that said, hey, we'd like to go to dinner. They sent back laughing faces. They go, you guys don't go to dinner. Yeah. They said, we're going to want to go after 5 o'clock, right?
Yeah.
And we were, it was a big joke. It's like, we don't do stuff like that because we're busy. Yeah. Busy succeeding.
Well, not only that, dude. I mean, it's very difficult to find people. One, if they're already successful, they're probably busy anyways. Mm-hmm. And secondly, when you go out with, I guess this is the right term. I don't want to be negative. Regular people. The conversations
sane people.
Sane people, right? The ones that analyze things based upon statistics and make decisions based upon that, rather than saying "screw it, let's go in." It's hard to have a normal, a conversation with regular or sane people because you're not thinking about the same things they are. What interests you don't interest them, and to sit down at dinner with somebody that is not in business or doesn't understand what you've gone through is very difficult. Mm-hmm. People don't understand that. My wife's like, let's go to dinner with these people. I'm like, I don't have anything to talk to them about. Like, what do I say at dinner? Like, did you catch the game? How's your golf swing? I don't know what to say because and I was at the gym. I'm sitting, on the stair thing or whatever it is, right? And somebody comes and sits next to me like, oh, man, what do you do for fun? What's your hobbies? I'm like, dude, business. Yeah. I'm like, I love this shit, dude. Like, I love getting punched in the mouth and finding solutions and creating. Like, that's, like, you might enjoy going out four-wheeling. Cool, that's you. Like, that's just not me. Some people look at an entrepreneur like, man, that's a sad life or whatever. But that's what excites us. Yeah. That's what gets us going, So our hobbies are business. Our business is our business. Everything that we do is business. It's just who we are, and it's very difficult for other people outside of it to understand. And so
I like his word of obsessively. Like you just have to do it obsessively and it's like anything, man. Like, if you're trying to become an NFL football player, you are obsessively training, and as you get better at it, you start enjoying it more. You start enjoying the grind and the work, and then leveling up to whatever college, and then getting picked in the draft or whatever it is. Like, you start enjoying it when you start feeling like you're pretty good at it,
and you're progressing. When you see progress, it gets you excited, right? Like if you're spending money on Facebook ads and nothing's working, and then you make a tweak, didn't work, tweak, and it's not that what you're selling or what you're offering, that there's no customers out there. It's probably you just need to keep tweaking and adapting and adjusting until you find one that hits, right? And people like us we're so just, we've got to figure it out, right? Like we just won't accept no for an answer. Like we're just going to keep going and going until we get the result that we want. And that's the big difference between, the majority of people and entrepreneurs. They just don't quit.
I break the world between, and again, I have language that's kind of worked out around all this because I have an entrepreneurial leadership company, so I kind of have my own vernacular for this, but I divide the world between excellent and average. And the concept of average is like, when we think of the word average, we think the middle. I don't think it's the middle. I think it's like 95% of the world is actually
the majority
is average.
Right.
And then there's, and the fundamental distinction to me, the divide is people who love hard things. And I don't know why, but I know I love hard things. I'll tell you guys this briefly. So Tuesday night, you mentioned Facebook ads.
Yeah.
Like a lot of my business is built off Facebook and YouTube advertising. Facebook's a big piece of that. I got my Facebook ad. There was like a glitch at Facebook, and it got the whole ad account got shut down 3 nights ago. Tuesday night. I was frustrated, and I got on with support, and they were closed. Waited till the next morning. Next morning, I woke up, and I was like, I just didn't like the state of mind I was in, because it was like your girlfriend's not texting you back or something. I was checking it every 2 minutes.
Are they cheating on me?
Facebook chat support. Facebook's like, dude, it's gonna be 48 hours. Take a chill pill.
Yeah.
And so I was like, what can I do? Because this is the hardest thing in my life right now, and I don't like the way I'm responding. I don't like the way I'm responding to it, and I don't remember my entire thought process. But somehow it occurred to me, I should stop eating, because that will create focus and also distract attention from this other thing that I'm dealing with. So I haven't eaten in 64 hours.
Yeah, I actually saw your post.
Yeah.
You're on a fast.
And I just like, at this point, and even somebody this morning, they asked Jacqueline, my wife, they're like, why isn't Jeff eating?
Yeah.
Is it a challenge? Did he lose a bet? No, it's because it's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard.
You find things to challenge yourself.
And I love going to the gym every Sunday. I mean, we live in Utah. I joke that I'm a member of the LDS church. Legs day Sunday, baby.
Yeah.
Every Sunday I go in and try to PR on squats because it's freaking hard. And
awesome.
I'm 40 years old, and it hurts, and it reminds me that I'm alive. And I think we've got to have that, or else, people say, what do I need to do to be successful? I don't know, man.
Yeah.
Learn to love hard things.
I think people get stagnant in life in general because they stop trying to do hard things.
Totally.
Right? In high school or whatever, you're progressing as you grow up because you're challenged. But the problem is that's external challenges. Somebody's placing that on you, right? This is due by this time. This is, but if you look back at some of the best times in your life, it's when you were most challenged. If you were an athlete going to football practice or soccer practice, and you were back in the day, you were probably kind of dreading it. Oh, I don't want to do it. And then you look back on it like, man, those were some of the best times of my life. And the problem is, again, coach set the practice. That your teachers told you that this had to be done. Who's holding you accountable now?
The model changes when you grow up.
Yeah.
Now you're not expecting. So you gotta be your own coach. You gotta take responsibility.
You've got to challenge yourself.
Yeah.
I like the connection too between you separating average and elite, right? And the average is because most people go in, they do leg day, man. They want to ease into it. You're going in and you're like, I'm maxing out.
Max out.
And that's
every Sunday I try to increase the amount, because I know better than to try to lift my 1 rep max at 40.
Yeah.
So literally I do this every Sunday. My leg workout is go in and see how much I can squat for 4 sets of 15 femurs below parallel. And just every week try to add 5 pounds to that. And theoretically, if I were to succeed at that, in 5 years I'd be squatting like 900 pounds.
There you go.
World's strongest man.
It's like I know there's going to reach a point where it's diminishing and fully diminished returns, but I don't care. It's the struggle. It's fun.
Yeah.
That's what I like, dude. Is like, you know what? You want to be above average? You got to do hard shit, and you got to like it, and you got to go all in.
Yeah.
You can't ease into shit.
No, ease in. I don't know what that looks like.
You ease into failure is what you're gonna do.
Totally.
Is if you ease.
And the thing is, you gotta recover fast too. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
I mean, working out. In my concentric model of the world, I talk about the 3 Ps. I have physical is at the core, and then personal is a circle around that, and then professional is the outer circle. Most people want to start with a professional result.
Yeah.
And I say physical. I mean, you got to tune the machine, right? And I don't remember exactly, partly because I probably haven't eaten in 64 hours. I don't remember exactly where I was
Your
going with
stomach's
that
growling.
point. But, I just think you have to adopt that mindset or else, I know what I was saying. It's the gym is such a metaphor. Everything you need to know about success. I mean, you're going through Hard 75 right now, aren't you? Yeah, like you're a workout maniac. Like it's not a surprise.
Yeah.
Jeff Bezos wakes up every day and does an hour on the treadmill. It's not a surprise.
Yeah.
And there's the mental rigor and the discipline that you develop in the gym or with some sort of a routine in that part of your life,
So
I think
true.
is almost indispensable.
Well, that's because when you get up in the morning, your brain starts telling you, stay in bed. It starts trying to sell you all the excuses that you could buy and feel good about not going, right? And it's always just, you're always having to overcome something when you're in the gym or even just getting to the gym. And there's always those mental battles and legs, people don't like hitting leg day, Jeff's like, let's go hit it and let's hit it hard,
I do it on Sunday as an act of worship. I want to say that right now.
Yeah, you worship your body to the point where you put it through torture,
Yes, spiritual torture.
Yeah, exactly. You find your spirit,
totally.
under some heavy weight.
Totally. It's just like fasting. When you do hard, fasting is a spiritual practice. It's not now it's become this thing that's related to keto and intermittent fasting.
Yeah.
Fasting is a spiritual practice. The hard things wake you up to parts of yourself that will sleep through the rest of life.
Right.
When did you start really focusing on your physique and the gym and doing all that early in entrepreneurship? Was that a thing, or does that happen within the last few years, 5 years?
It's honestly been a big struggle in my life. One of the reasons I realized at a certain point, I don't remember, it was probably sometime in my late 20s, maybe early 30s, I realized I could look back over the course of my life and see the pattern that we're talking about. The times, because I was not a very good athlete growing up, but I really wanted to be an athlete. Partly, and for being super honest, partly because I've always felt really weird and ugly and dorky growing up, and I thought if I was a good athlete, I could girls would like me. Yeah. So and socially, it
I
had
think a lot
currency.
of people have that same thought process.
So I wanted to be a way better athlete than I actually was cut out to be. So I would train like crazy, and then I'd get burned out, or I'd get disappointed. I still wouldn't make the team, or the girl didn't like me anyways, or whatever whatever the little disappointment was when I was young, and then I'd stop. Yeah. And so I had a lot of peaks and valleys with my fitness, and there reached a point in my adult life where I looked back and I go, man, all the times I was doing well are the times when working out was like almost at the center of my life. And my depressive phases started, I thought that not taking care of my body was a result, but it wasn't, it was a cause. So I have to make a decision to never let up on that. For really just for self-preservation. I'm never gonna achieve the things I want to in this world. I'm never gonna be who I know I'm capable of being if I don't maintain that with like absolute discipline.
Yeah,
and I get scared. It's not that I'm super motivated. I'm motivated by fear. I get scared when I take a day off because of what the ripple effect could be in my life. Yeah.
Again, it's being stagnant, not challenging yourself, right?
It terrifies
me. And then it slowly starts carrying over into other portions of your life. You just kind of not start caring about other things, and everything starts becoming stagnant. Your relationships become stagnant. Totally. Your business becomes stagnant. You're just not pushing yourself anymore.
Your employees that you're supposed to be leading, they start feeling it.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that. The key, one of the most important things, because when people start out in entrepreneurship, they're usually alone. Right. You always start almost as a solopreneur. You have to start engineering your life to be a life that will inspire loyalty and build a following long before you're hiring your first employee.
Absolutely.
Because if you can't build and lead a team, you'll never go where you want to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. What do you think, some common characteristics are in successful people? I mean, you've been around a lot of successful people, right? And what we do is we kind of look at them and try to analyze what they do, and we try to kind of copy and paste, right? Like that's what mentorship kind of is and coaching is. They're like, hey, you should try this, you should do this, and everything else in your life will get better. So what are some of the characteristics that you think make a good entrepreneur? Just willing to do the hard shit?
They're superficially, they're boring. And actually there's a quote, Cynthia Bartz, who was the CEO of Yahoo, and then I think she moved to Autodesk. She actually has a quote that you can Google about CEOs are the most boring people I know. And that article goes on to talk about all the people I was just talking about. Like they're routined, they're disciplined. They're brilliant at knowing what should be done, not just what they want to do. Mm-hmm. It's not nearly as sexy as people think, and I think that's the key, is they're internally motivated. Because if you're externally motivated, then you want the lifestyle, you want the sex appeal, you want the trappings, and those are not sustainable, and they are not sustaining. Right. There has to be some internal fire that burns hot that just makes you a little bit weird and a little bit boring and a little bit obsessive. And I get people call me OCD a lot, and like you just don't fit with most people, and that's your greatness. That there's no space for in the world.
Cool.
So you create your own.
What's one piece of advice that you would give a young entrepreneur that's and again, it doesn't mean a young individual, just a young entrepreneur, because there's people that are 35, 45, 55 that want to go start a business.
It's the same advice that my piano teacher gave me when I was able to first start taking some lessons, and he recognized that I did have a legitimate talent. He said, hoard and protect your talent no matter who it pisses off. And what I realized later is what he was saying is, like, there's he was talking about energy. He was talking about connective relationships. Like, people drain you.
Right.
Yeah.
People that and it's a very small group of people in the world that are really going to get you and support you. And I think one of the biggest and I'm in a unique position because I have worked in the last 12 years with thousands of people who are expressly saying, I want to start a business. I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to do this thing. And I get to look at what happens as that unravels in their life. And I have some shining success stories, but I'm sure I'm not blowing anybody's mind to say I have a lot of fizzle out stories. And I get to say, what went wrong? It's always other people. Yeah. It's always people that they let have some power, some influence, or some authority in their life that didn't support them, that were more attached to who they were than who they wanted to become, didn't align with the agenda. It's like, and I look at, really overweight married couples.
Yeah.
If one party loses weight, like 100 pounds or more, it's like 99% of those marriages end in divorce.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Because there just wasn't an alignment of interest. And when somebody makes a decision to start a business, it's usually bigger than just, I want to make some extra money. It's like, I want to have a different life. I want to become a different person. I want some qualitative shift in my life, not just a fatter bank account. Because, like you said, statistics don't support starting a business as purely a financial move.
Yeah.
They want something else to change. And if the people that they have, that they're connected to in their life, aren't on board with that, it'll kill them.
I think a lot of young people want to get into business because like you said, it looks cool.
Yeah.
They want to. The entrepreneur is a cool word now. Being a business. You spend $500 and buy an MLM product or something, and all of a sudden you're an entrepreneur, right? Like, anybody just wants to throw that word out just because they think it's cool. When if you're trying to get into business to look cool, you're not going to survive. You have to be able to do things for the right reasons and have a different burning desire, as Jeff was talking about, in order to get through the struggles. This shit is hard. It's very, very, very difficult, and you'll find out who you really are and what you're really about when you start going through this stuff. Like, I've heard many stories of people having panic attacks, operating businesses, and there's the lows are really low. So some people say, well, how is being a business owner? I say, let me put it this way: the highs are really high, but the lows are really low. The highs are so high that most people won't ever see it, touch it, or feel it. But the lows are so low that not a lot of people will ever be able to get through it, And so don't try to look cool, you know what I mean? Like, because if you're 2 years of business and your business starts making a little bit of money, what do? These young kids go out and buy something fancy, buy something nice, and they're trying to play keep up in the entrepreneur world, and it just doesn't work like that.
Instead of reinvesting whatever money they made into growing their business, reinvesting whatever time they just freed up into growing their business.
Or investing into a new business, like one stream of income, that's not a good idea. You need to have
hand.
If you lose that, you're kind of,
and I've personally experienced that in the last couple of years. I mean, you guys do my accounting. I have multiple businesses, and when one of them yings, the other one yangs. It's real.
It's nice if one's, on a downslope, maybe not even a downslope. Maybe you're just reinvesting all the money that you're making back into your business, but you have two other incomes that keep your lights on.
Exactly.
Which gives you the ability to have patience when a lot of people don't have patience because they're just doing it maybe to keep their lights on. So they're raping their business of all the cash flow that's coming in to live a certain lifestyle that ultimately is taking away from long-term success.
And actually, you just re-answered the question you asked of me earlier about what would your advice be for a young entrepreneur. Don't quit your job.
Don't get fancy.
I would say don't quit your job, like from the standpoint of don't put yourself, what you just said, in a position where you have to rape whatever gains you make in your business just to live.
Yeah.
And I was in, that may sound a little ironic coming from me because I was in that position.
Yeah.
But I was I know myself well enough to say this without any ego or pride. I was in a position that most people couldn't have survived.
Yeah.
Mentally, from a doing what I have to do standpoint, most people would have just buckled and got a job.
That's what it is.
And people need to cover their bases and try to grow from there.
I think what you're saying is a lot of people might try this business thing and go 80%, 90%, but then when it gets hard, they retract. Mm-hmm. And I think that so many people are so close when they hit that low point,
right,
and they walk away. I literally think that's when you're about to have your breakthrough.
That's where I was. My $13,000 was down to about $13.
Yeah.
When I had my first $4,500 commission check, and I didn't go to dinner. I reinvested it into more ads.
Yeah.
And was able to compound it from there. Do you guys know the origin of the word entrepreneur?
What is it?
So
educate us.
It's a French word, entre, which means to grasp, and prendre, which means to swim. So the concept of an entrepreneur is somebody who swims out to sea where the waters are choppy and scary and grabs things and swims back to shore for the rest of people. And it actually got its first utilization in 18th century France. And it wasn't, that's the thing, it wasn't like this cool, sexy thing. It was a weirdo.
Yeah.
An entrepreneur was somebody who produced light opera and musical theater. So their job was to go into the bowels of Paris and find some creative bohemian musician artist with a vision, and then essentially go, hey, that vision deserves to live. It deserves to be brought to life. So I'm gonna run over to the outskirts of Paris and talk to the rich people and try to convince them to invest in this show. And there's so much metaphorically in that model of what entrepreneurship really is that's actually the truth of it. It's, let's take this ridiculous, crazy idea and convince the people that control the capital to divert capital from predictable, traditional things like their factories or their manufacturing and whatever, or their own business, into bringing this crazy idea to life that, of all things, is a work of musical theater. There's nothing that is statistically a worse investment than putting your money into a musical. But the entrepreneur was the person who had such a strong vision for why that musical deserved to live that he could convince really smart, really wealthy people to put their money into it. It was never about money. It was never about being rich and cool. It was always, and then when it showed up later in economics literature, entrepreneurs were these radical people who diverted capital from less efficient means into more efficient means inside the economy with a vision that no one else could see. So you think about what Elon Musk is doing with green energy. You think about what Steve Jobs did with computing and digital devices and stuff. It had to be insane at the time that it was being done, or else it actually wasn't entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
That's so true.
Well, if somebody wants to start a company now, anything around technology, it's not crazy.
Yeah.
They're actually smart. Let's go create an app. Let's do, but probably the first person that says, hey man, let's create an app. And they're like, what the hell are you talking about?
And
like
by the way, back then, it was a lot easier to do than it is now. Now it's accepted. Now it's mainstream. Now it's not considered crazy. Yeah. By the way, now it's super saturated and really impossible to get traction with.
Yeah.
I've never heard that backstory on the word entrepreneur.
Me neither.
Dude. That's freaking awesome.
That's cool.
That's what I love about these podcasts, man. We learn
shit.
Yeah.
Well, I figured if I was going to start a company called Entre Institute, I had to know what the heck I was talking
People
about.
are like, what does Entre mean? Yeah. Like, oh, shit. It's time to do some research, So.
Let's tell them how to find you, man. I know I follow you on Instagram. I follow you. It's at the Jeff Lerner.
No, it's Jeff Lerner Official is my handle across Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. And I will answer the question this way, and I will also bake into it a marketing lesson, which is when I was and Entre has kind of reinvented itself over the last couple of years and is nearing, I believe, is approaching a tipping point where I'm starting to get called on podcasts. I was on TV 2 weeks ago. Like, it's starting to convert in a mainstream consciousness level. And when I was gearing up and trying to push for that to happen, I mean, it's like a dream come true for that to happen, right? I had to make a decision. Am I going to brand this as Entre, or am I going to brand this as me? And deciding to brand it as me, and I look at you guys where like you have an accounting firm, but you have a podcast that's about real business owners. Like your message to market is a very human message, even though your business is a corporate business.
Yeah.
Right.
So when I say find Entre by going to @Lerner official on YouTube or Facebook, in the back of my mind, I'm going, well, I also have a corporate brochure site that's entreinstitute.com. I also have a sales funnel that's trainingwithjeff.com. But where do I really want people to go to understand what my business is about? It's just come watch my YouTube videos.
Yeah.
Because then you'll decide if you know, like, and trust me. And at that point, you'll know if there's something here you want to do business together. And I think for a lot of entrepreneurs, that's a valuable lesson to understand. When we're talking about the personal development stuff, if you can't build yourself into a confident, forward-facing representative of your business that where people are going to want to do business with you first because they're attracted to you, you might not actually be ready, and you might have a different set of work to do than you realize.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
It does make sense.
Yeah,
and I there's very few people on YouTube that I follow and turn my notifications on because I don't like notifications. This is something I really want to be notified about. And you are one of them, dude. I love your videos. Thanks, I always learn from you. And our guests, man, they should definitely go follow you and check out your YouTube as well as Instagram.
And you spell Lerner Lerner.
Correct.
Yeah.
It's the misspelling.
Yeah. Somebody got that wrong, right? I'll just drop the A. But one last question before we end here, because it's a very, very, very important topic. And, me and Kel talk about it, quite frequently amongst ourselves. But we haven't asked anybody this question. But you do it well. You do it well. That's why I want to talk to you about it. Marriage and business, right? Marriages go through struggle phases when you're an entrepreneur or a business owner. It's what it is. It doesn't have to be that way. But you're trying to learn two different, how to coexist with a spouse and how to coexist with a business. And some people are like, oh, it's always business. It's always, and it seems like you and your wife do it very, very, very well. You guys are a team, right? Rather than two individuals against each other. Seems like you guys understand each other well enough and what your goals are, to where there's a good support system there. So was there, in terms of starting out in business, and was that struggle there just like it is for most entrepreneurs? And then, coming full circle and becoming
a whole nother podcast.
Dude, I mean, no, it's a real issue in business, in entrepreneurship.
It's a struggle for me. It's a struggle for you.
Having spouses understand, because we're so different mentally, right? And we are.
And we're probably different from their dads.
Which
is where they learned.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, if we're talking about heterosexual, male, female paradigm marriage.
Where you learn what a marriage is, or whatever, what you think what a
and I can tell you this, I've been married 3 times.
Okay.
Third time's the charm. I nailed it.
Yeah.
Crushed it. Gonna ride it out forever.
Yeah.
I'm the most like, this is a really trivial answer. I'm a lot more like her dad than I was like the other 2 dads. The other 2 dads one was an engineer, one owned a business consulting company. They were cut and dry, wear a suit to work kind of guys.
Yeah.
And we were so young that we didn't have the life maturity to outgrow our family paradigms.
Gotcha.
So I don't actually think there was anything I really could have done being who I am to make those work.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna cheapen what I have with my current wife now by saying it works because I'm like her dad. That's not at all. That was actually, at least gave her a baseline of sort of understanding,
some foundation
something
to work from. Yeah.
Honestly, dude, but you nailed it with coaching and mentorship.
Gotcha.
We've been to so much therapy.
Yeah.
And there's nothing. I have no shame around that, dude. We have been.
I didn't want to bring it
how
up.
we met.
That's how we met.
That's how we met.
Yeah.
The same therapist.
We literally met in therapy groups.
Yeah. I'm a therapist. I don't differentiate between therapy, coaching and personal development.
Yeah.
Right. It's a spectrum. This is, I want to understand myself better and I want to optimize. I want to perform better in this world.
100%.
And whether that's in relationships, that's in business, I'm pretty sure it's all about communication.
Yeah.
We've been to a crap load of therapy.
Yeah.
And we love it. And I can say, I mean, there were literally, like, we went to these classes around effective interpersonal communication. And we would be driving home, and the one thing we did right was we were so forgiving of each other during the stumble times. Because I remember she would say something to me, and I would be like, okay, try to remember what Steve said. That really hurt the way you said that. But I also know that you didn't probably mean it to hurt. So can I make a request? I would ask permission. Can I make a request? And you say, yes, what's your request? I'd say, do you mind saying that again, but trying to be less black or white with the language? Because that's actually how it really felt. That it was like I had nowhere to go. She'd try again. And then sometimes she'd do it to me, and she'd be like, there's like a bad power dynamic. She's like, you're coming off aggressive, like you have to have your way. Like, are you open to parity? Like, can you restate that? And we called them behavior modification requests. BMRs.
That's cool.
Not our basal metabolic rate, our behavior modification. And we got comfortable asking each other to communicate differently.
Wow.
And over a 2-year process of going to therapy every single week, we learned how to be best friends in a really, really effective way. And that's why we have a marriage that this isn't the first time I've had somebody say, hey, tell me about you guys' marriage. There seems to be something really cool going on. It's because we friggin' worked hard at it. And the work was hard. And our therapist will be the first to say, he goes, I have a lot of patience and very few do the homework. You guys ace the homework. You know?
So all the best shit's hard shit.
Yeah.
As we talked about.
That's the theme, right?
You know, I guess, put that on the podcast header. The best shit's the hard shit.
That's the real truth.
So in order to progress, you kind of got to face the demons, right? And address them and be open about them.
And we started out as a blended family. I moved across the country, got into a big fight with her dad over business, because that's how I knew the family was from business. There were lawsuits. It was forbidden courtship. I moved in. She had 3 kids. I became a father to 3. Like, it's kind of like my story of when I was... Like, I don't fail small, or I don't put myself in little hard situations. I put myself in big hard situations, because big hard situations require big responses, require action that's so massive that there's no room for anything else, and ultimately, I think drives a better result, you know? So why did we start going to therapy? Because I had packed up a U-Haul, quit my consulting gig in New York, which was with the company where I learned affiliate marketing. They ended up retaining me to do some work. I quit that, drove across the country, moved in with a single mom and her 3 kids in a little Mormon town where everybody thinks that some city slicker New York dude that just moved across the country to move in with a woman and her 3 kids is probably a creep. And said, hey, let's build an amazing life. Let's get some therapy. So we don't screw up the kids and we don't kill each other. And built it. And by the way, her dad and I ended up going back into business. I mean, you know, Carl, we ended up best friend. He's like my second father. Like,
wow.
It's just because you just face, like you said, you face hard things and do the freaking work.
Do the work.
I'm glad you made that move, man. It's always been a pleasure to know you. It's always been dude, in business, I mean, we've done some cool stuff together. And then dude, the groups that we were a part of, you know, the therapy stuff, like the personal growth stuff, it's been really cool to really have that connection with you and Jacqueline. You guys are both incredible. I always learn a lot from you guys.
Absolutely. Guys, make sure you take the time to go to YouTube and check out Jeff Lerner Official. I guarantee you're going to be pleasantly surprised with the head that this guy has on his shoulders. So make sure that you subscribe to the podcast. Make sure you rate and review the podcast, and go check out Jeff. Guys, we appreciate you tuning in. Have a good day.
Thank you.